the Super Demon is a peculiar little move. It doesn't do a lot of damage. Akuma has a better demon, you know, well, better damage-wise. And his EX meter is just really useful, so you don't get super a lot. But still, we've come up with some creative gimmicks to fool your opponents into getting hit by the super. And here we are yet again, talking about a new one. This one's all thanks to WestAB, and thus it can only be dubbed the Itabashi Slayer. Imagine if you could Kara the Super Demon from a standing roundhouse. Now I know you can technically do it, but it requires a fancy plink motion, and it's nothing like the overhead Kara where you can just hit jab plus strong twice. And that's because the overhead starts up really slow, whereas the roundhouse starts up in, what, 8 frames? So you really don't have enough time to tap jab plus roundhouse twice, because then you get something dumb looking like that. So the solution to this is to whiff a normal outside of its range and buffer the jabs in that. So what you're going to want to do is get into a range where low forward would hit, but crouching jab or crouching strong would not hit. As you can see, crouching strong whiffing right there. Now what we're going to do is buffer 2 jabs after the crouching strong. We want to make sure we don't buffer them too late, because then another jab will come out and it'll look stupid and suspicious. You can also use jab plus strong 3 times if you really wanted to make it easier for your hands. Either way, it should all go according to plan, provided that you finish the input, which would be standing roundhouse afterward, and then forward plus short plus fierce punch. You can apply this same logic to a crouching jab, but since crouching jab is so fast, you actually have to buffer the second jab within the standing roundhouse itself. Don't do it too fast, because then you'll get a stand jab and you'll look kinda dumb. As you've seen there, the stand jab came out instead of the roundhouse, so pace yourself and you should get the correct input, and it'll look more like that. Now you can use this setup as like a demon flip gimmick where you land just outside of poke range, or maybe in footsies where they're expecting low forward and you whiff a normal into super instead. Possibilities are endless, so experiment. If you're doing the input correctly and the super isn't coming out, or it's coming out after the roundhouse hits, you should try holding forward as you're doing the standing roundhouse and just continue holding forward while you finish the rest of the input. I found this helps me a lot. For some reason the input appears the same, but it makes the difference between the trick connecting and the trick all out failing. I don't understand it, but it's just a tip. The same concept of a tick demon applies to this technique as well. Say for instance you walked up and did 3 crouching shorts. That's a pretty dumb thing to do, because Akuma doesn't really have a follow-up to that, but it puts you at perfect range for a crouching jab to whiff, which then you can use the technique I just described and you get the added benefit of the standing roundhouse's range for your super, and it's a pretty good setup. Of course, you can still mess this up, so don't hit the jab plus roundhouse too fast, because then you get a standing jab and you go into rage mode like I just did. You can tick super from 2 crouching strongs as well. Just buffer the 2 jabs at the end of the second crouching strong. It's important to emphasize the end of the second crouching strong. Do not buffer the 2 jabs immediately after the strong, because then the rest of the input will be too far away from the jabs and the super will not register. You can even do this if the strong hits. Since crouching strong doesn't combo naturally into standing roundhouse, you can create like a nifty frame trap setup. 2 crouching strongs, buffer the jabs, Kara the super, as you just seen. It's a pretty interesting input, and it takes some time getting used to it, but it's definitely a cool setup. And if done correctly, obviously they won't be able to escape, because like I said, strong and roundhouse just don't combo. Try to think of your own interesting setups to use this roundhouse, Kara, Itabashi, explosion, whatever I'm calling it. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So hope you guys enjoyed this little tutorial, and I'll check you guys later. Peace!